I think we've all seen worlds with magic where it's sort of an elite, gifted child type of resource, where great adventurers study to use magic and the general public sits in awe. And that's cool and all. But magic is sick. An amazingly fun flavor, so why don't we add it to our worlds, with magic users of all sorts creating worlds chock full of magic. Where magic is so common and mundane, common, non-adventuring jobs are just full of it. This lets us do two major things in our Dungeons & Dragons games. First, it lets us create new wonder at mundane things we wouldn't think are cool normally, letting us add moving parts and bringing our towns and cities to life with descriptions of people on the streets and in buildings working. And second, it allows our players to hire out for spells they might find useful either for minor one-off spells or hirelings that can take care of homes and castles and whatever your party loves to spend their money on. So here are some examples of D&D 5e jobs that could use them. A magical post office with employees having sending, allowing their families back home to know about their adventures. Sometimes sending spell just isn't enough though. Sometimes you want a slightly angrier, more impactful message with Magic Mouth creating Harry Potter's howlers. Or how about a sweet smell of baked goods hits your nose? As a young wizard stands outside casting prestidigitation to waft the smell of fresh baked bread onto the street, drawing in nearby passerbys. This one's a bit frivolous and something to flavor the rich in your world. A pet food chef. Specially made food with the finest ingredients flavored specially with prestidigitation. And I promise this isn't just another list about prestidigitation. Another cliche the rich might have is someone to fan them off when they're too hot. Maybe a gentle gust spell would work just nicely. Along with a food tester using detect poison and disease, or a water boy to fetch water with create water. Another useful thing for the rich to have is a body double, someone who looks exactly like them. Then, when they want some peace and quiet, the body double can use disguise self, and the rich can go about their merry day. So how about a snowplow, a mage running up and down the streets with fire shield up, melting snow, allowing carriages and people to run the streets with ease. Or maybe a new tower is being built in town and the construction workers are casting fabricate. But maybe they would be down to let the players hire them to fabricate mundane items that they might want as well. Before that tower was created though, an architect conjured an illusion of a couple versions of that possible building that could fit there using major image. Excavation can happen using mold earth, and landscaping afterward could be done with druidcraft. And on the line of illusions, entertainment comes to mind. Dancers who perform with dancing lights around them, or water puppet shows made with shape water. Special effects experts using pyrotechnics and fog cloud to really up the level of performances. An obvious one that's used a lot is doctors using healing spells. But what about nurses using spare the dying? If the person doesn't survive, maybe a coroner could use gentle repose to keep the body for the funeral, then afterwards use decompose to return the body to the soil. Detectives can follow up before the decomposition with Speak with the Dead, and they can interrogate their subjects with Zone of Truth. Maybe because of the murders, the guards should up their game and start using magic too, having Detect Evil and Good, Command, and Alarm. And the city alarm system could use thaumaturgy to speak loudly when something happens. And after all is said and done, the newspaper can sell their headline by advertising it using skywriting, so the whole town can see the weekly gab. But what about just some useful things for the party to have around? An antique hunter could have Identify so the party doesn't have to waste the spell slot to have it. A secretary could have illusory scripts to hide hidden messages. A repairsman could know mending. A locksmith could know arcane lock, and a researcher might know borrowed knowledge. On top of a researcher, a marine biologist might know water breathing, allowing your party to access a whole new level of cool underwater gameplay. These are all very useful spells for your party to have access to. What am I drawing? An Azer from the Fire Plane. This will be a race available to anyone playing my campaign, but also anyone on my Patreon. If you'd like more content for the Fire and Earth plane, I'm making 6 races that'll all be available on my Patreon. I've also got a location, and there'll be so much more to come to fill out these elemental planes as I make my campaign slowly. So check it out if you want. Link in description. Your city or town could have a blacksmith using heat metal, and a teacher using guidance on their children, a moving service that uses floating disc, and a weatherman controlling the weather based on what the farmers need at the time. Well, the farmers use plant growth to enhance their harvest for the year. Imagine walking down the street with street food chefs using Mage Hand to chop their vegetables. They use Dragon's Breath on the bottom of a wok to cook the food in front of a crowd. A shaved ice stand throwing ice knives into a tank before scraping and scooping them out to deliver shaved ice to nearby passerbys. Delivery guys could be running down the streets alongside your players with long stride, delivering food. A soup kitchen could use Goodberry to feed the poor, which might even be your party near the beginning of the camp. And roofers could be jumping from roof to roof using the jump spell, and same with chimney sweeps. A stable master and animal trainer could use Beast Bond to get closer to their animals, where a veterinary might be more advanced using Speak with Animals. While the city control pest uses animal friendship to lure animals out of the city. Your cities and towns can be so full of life and people doing things in motion and going about their days. It'll take your city from this empty feeling street to a wondrous world where the most mundane things become fascinating again. And even if you don't want a world filled to the brim with magic, I hope, if nothing else, you take from this to add movement and people to your cities and towns. Make them come to life and feel full. And if you like this video on flavoring your towns, maybe check out this video on how to flavor your melee weapon attacks. Have a smiley day!